Bless. Barakata Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shabbat Bashalom Tawada Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the Sabbath and peace. Thank you, so be it. The Ali Ma'ah Shariah Machad, Psalms 121. Anye Harayim Mayim Yimye Oh Harim Mayim Yabawa Shai Shai Shemayim Waratazah Wala Yeshan Shashuma Yeshrelid Yahweh Shemarie Yahweh Tazalia Ayo Yad Yim Yad Yawamam Hashemash La Hakairak La Balayala Yahweh Yashamari Makam Rai Yashamar Napashya Yahweh Yashamar Hawalakya Wabawaya My Fa Aid I Walam Basha
My help coming from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall not slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Shemaya Sharela, hero Israel. Shemaya Sharela, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh, Shemaya Sharela, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh, Shemaya Sharela, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh,
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, one. Is one Lord. Amen.
You did it again?
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
Tapala Yahweh, the Lord's Prayer. Shamke, Kasalak nawe, kabawat nawe, kasalak nawe, kabawat nawe, wala abiyan nawe, oh nasayawan, abo, hawe shine nawe, maray, kaya, lakay, amalakwa, alamaman.
Matthew 6:9. After this manner, therefore, pray, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our day, and Lead us not into temptation.
لعاب لكاب ولعاب لعابدم لعاب بلكوكا شموت يهوت الهيكب لا شوات زكار أم شبك لا قداشوات كباد أبيكب وأمكب لا ثراتزك لا أنا شكور لا تخمات كو أشرات لا رأيك من Babakushay Shalak Mike Allah. Dedicated line. I wrote my name. Full cup. Thank you.
Blah, blah.
Okay, so Shalom Yasharella. Apologies during the prayers if the service went in and out, but hopefully we resolved that. And I think we're getting some feedback from the phone line in the area. Sometimes the lines cross. I'm not sure why it's happening. But you can hear it very subtly on our phone. I'm not sure if you guys are able to hear it. They're on teleconference, but either way, welcome to Ha Yashrala Kanaz, or the Congregation of Israel, where we teach that the so-called Black, Latin, and Native Americans are the 12 tribes of Israel, that we fall into a lower state because we broke the laws of God, found the Bible given to us by Moses, and that we come out of this lower state that we fall into by turning back to these commandments that we broke through following Jesus Christ as our example. So today is a Sabbath day, and as regularly scheduled, we go through a Sabbath reading. Today we're going to be going through Revelation 22 and then going to Matthew chapter 1. So we've completed a New Testament circuit. If you guys notice with our Sabbath schedule, every week we alternate, right? We'll do a reading from the Old Testament, a reading from the New Testament, and then another one from the Apocrypha to keep that rotation going. So we've gotten to the end of Revelation. I'm going to go back to Matthew and go through the Gospels again in the weeks ahead. So Revelation 22, the last chapter of the Bible, to close out John, the disciple of Christ, his revelation that he got on the Isle of Patmos. So first we'll read it in the Hebrew first, or as we would say, by Bari Ra'ash, or in the Hebrew first. So let's read that. And just say, come when you're ready here. Revelations 22, so we can read it together. Okay, so this is Revelation 22. You have Waya Naya. Okay, good. Okay, so it reads Waya Raya Naya Nakho Sho Mayam Khayayam Zak Mabahayak Ka'ayan Hakorak Yataza'a Makasa'a Alahayam Wa Hasha. 2. Wabathawak Rakhawab Ha'ayar Wa'o Shapath Hanako Maza Wamaza Aitaza Khayayam Aisha Parya Shanyam Aishara Kaya Madaya Khadash Bakhadashwa Yathan Ath Paryawa Wa'ila Ha'aitaza Latharwapath Hagawoyim. 3. Wako Kharash La'a Yahya Iwad Wakasa La Alahayam Wahasha Yahya Salat. Yes, it. Baha wa I Badyawa Yashara Thawa, verse 4. And it reads Wahama Yara'awa Ath Panyawa Washamwa Io Ma Tazakwatham. 5. Wala Yala La'a Yahya Iwad Wala'a Yataza Tarakwa Iwad La Awar Nar Wala Awar Shamash Kaya Yahawa Alahayam Hawa'a Yarayar Salat Ya'ayar Laham Waya Malakwa Aid I will Lamya I will Lam Yum. 6. Waya Amar Oya Ha Dabarium Ha Oha Mathyam Wana Munyam Hum Waya Hawa Salat Wa Yahawa Alahaya Hanabayayam Hakwadashyam Shalak Ath Mala Akwa Waha Rawath Ath Ibadyawa Ath Ashara Haya Yahaya Bamahara. 7. Hananya Ba'a Mahar Ashaya Hashamar Ath Debarya Nabawa'ath Ha-Sapar Azah. 8. wa anya yawa khanan hawa'a hara'a oha wa shemaya wa ma'aim wa yahya ka shemaya wa kara awathya wa apo la panya ya hamala ak ashura hara naya af oha baha shathakwa lawa 9 waya amar oya ra'a la'a aisha za'af kaya ibad kamwaka anakya waka barlaka wala akyaka ha nab ya'a yam. Interesting connected there. Hanab ya'a yam wala shamar yam af debarya ha sapar haza la alahayim ha shafak wa 10 waya amar oya o fakhatham af debarya nabawa af ha sapar haza kaya Horowab ha mawa'id 11 hakawa mas yawa sayap la khamas waha tama yawa sayap laha tama waha tazadayak yawa sayap laha tazadak waha Quarawash yawa sayap laha tha Qudash 12 waha nanya ba'a mahar wa shakarya afya la shalom lako ayash kama I shawa 13 anya ha alap wa ha thawa wa ha thawa wa ha thawa thawa hara ash wa ha sawab hara ash 1 waha kar 1 14 asharya ha aishyam af matazawat yawa lama ain thahaya mama shofam ba'aitaza hak hayayam wa ba'awa ha'ai yara darak ha sha'aryam 15 washakha watza la hako haka labium ha'a maka shapyam waha naz yam waha maratazak yam wa ibad ya ha ala yoyam wa ko ahab shakur wa aishawa 16 anya yahushai shalakthia af malaakya laha ayad lakam af oha bapanya hakwa nakya sharash dawa wathawala dafwa kawakab naga hashakha 17 waha rocha waha kala amaryam ba'ab wa Hashamai Yama Ba'a Bahatazama Yabawa'a wa Ha Kapataza Ya Kwak Mayam Khayayam Khanam 18 Ma'ayad Anya Bako Ha-Shemai Debaria Nabawa'af Ha-Sapar Azah Yawa Siyap Ayash Ilyahum Yawa Siyap Ilyawa Alahayam Af Ha-Makwa Ha-Kathawabwa Ba-Sapar Azah 19 Ba'am Yagarai Yash Madabaria Sapar Hanabawaaf Hazaaf Yagarai Alahayam Af Kalakwa Masapar Hakayam Wama Ayar Wakwadash Hakathawab Basapar Hazah 20 Hama Ayad Af Oha Amar Amanam Kan Anya Ba'a Mahar Aman Ba'ar Na Ha'adawan Yahawashai 21 Chasad Adawan Yanawa Yahawashai Hamashiach Ain Kokam Ko Hakawashim Aman. That's done right there. Done and done. The New Testament is now finished. That's good. People always say, right, in the world, gotta take it to Revelation, brother. What's going on in Revelation? We're in a time of Revelation, right? So that's Revelation 22 in the Hebrew. So now let's get Revelation 22 in English. All right. So for your notes, of course, let's write down the date as we go over the verses. Today, according to the Gregorian calendar, would be October 14th, 2017. And according to our calendar, it would be the 7th month and the 25th day. Okay. So now this is Revelation 22 in 1. And it reads, before we read this a few weeks ago, John was having a vision of New Jerusalem, right? Coming down from heaven. How Okay. Not sure why that happened, but either way, apologies for that. So if you do a refresh, on your browser, you should be able to see us now. Sorry for that hiccup. So let's continue on in Revelation 22 in verse 1. But Thawada for keeping me abreast either by teleconference or by text message. In case so Revelation chapter 2, as I was saying before, if I got cut off, last time we read this, John was having a vision of New Jerusalem coming down for her husband. So many metaphors here in Revelation. If we read the scriptures before in the Old and New Testament, it is used for these different motifs, as far as Israel being like a comely, delicate woman, right? As far as Israel being the Most High's tabernacle, right? These physical things, or these things we understand on a carnal level, that then supposed to be conveying a spiritual message, right? The importance of a bride to her husband, right? The importance of a tabernacle or a building, right? And that the Most High always makes sure he emphasizes that above all, the people matter most of all, right? Just like our righteousness, we're supposed to wear it like we wear clothes, right? We're supposed to be clothed with righteousness. Hence, you see us wearing the white robes throughout this book and the different visions that John had, right? Which we read before. The white robes represent the righteousness of the saints, right? That purity. We're supposed to be the, we always make that joke at camp. We say, when it comes to the so-called white man, he's the real black people. Look at the word black, right? Because black is evil, right? Sinister, right? Without life, without color, into many things that are illegal, right? That's what they represent in the earth. That's what they're made to be. Whereas with us, who are called quote unquote black people, we're actually supposed to be the white people for real. We're the ones that are supposed to be chaste, holy, right? Without spot, without blemish. But we're reading the wrong lines for the wrong character in the play. We're supposed to be rehearsing the righteous acts of Jacob, not these other nations. But that's what we do when we follow them, follow their ways, deal with their idols. And it's not shocking that you see us, even though we're people of color, we wear the white robes, whereas you read about them in their upper circles, right? They always wear the black robes, right? When they do their wickedness, their counterfeit worship of their God. See, a lot of things are inside out, upside down. When you read the scriptures, it becomes clear. You can see it for what it is. So, Revelation 22, in verse 1, a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of power and of the Lamb, right? So this image of the water of life, right? Remember, even going back to back to Genesis, we read about the water of life, or the four rivers, right, that surround the garden. They were actual rivers, but we can even look at those. That water representing what? Righteousness, right? That pure water of life. That's why it's called the water of life, just like the tree of life, right? It's not so much going to a tree, but it's this tree is representative of life, just like this water represents life, which all these things, these different images just tie back to the Most High's commandments, his righteousness. It says this. Shar Shabbat.
You know we're offline again.
Do a refresh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So to link with 22 and 1, we always read this, but you can write it down. Saint John chapter 7. Okay. All right, check again, but it should be on.
It goes all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah,
That's what.
yeah, Google Hangouts. Okay, just let us know. Let me know still if it happens. So if you didn't hear before or didn't see before, those that are watching, St. John 7:38. To link with Revelation 22:1, which says, "He that believeth on me, as the Scripture have said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water." And then 39, you can even tack on, which says, "But this spake he of the Spirit, which they that believe on him should receive. For the Holy Ghost was not yet given, because that Jesus, or Yahushua, was not yet glorified." Right? So he's talking about the Spirit then coming out of their mouth, right? And we believe as the Scripture has said. So that's what we want, not following Christ. We're following some other spirit. So when we see this river of living water, we know what it's talking about, what it represents, right? This vision that John is having. Because in the kingdom, for Israel, we're all going to know the truth. The Most High is going to write the law on our inward parts. We'll always be in the spirit. The truth. And in the midst of the street of it, of the river, there was the tree of life. So we know the tree of life, same thing, dealing with the commandments, right? The law. That was the tree we're supposed to eat from only. And so it's funny how the end and the beginning are almost reflections of each other. But it's going back to the greatness that we had from the beginning. Yes. We went astray. We went on this long journey over many millennia just to come back to the realization that there's nothing better but following the Lord. And that's where we're at now, at the tail end of this whole story, right? A remnant of us figuring out, yeah, we had no business leaving the tree of life. Deceived by that deceiver in the garden ever again. We know what that's worth. All this suffering that we're going through.
It's a nice way of putting it as far as for start to end, pretty much the same thing. It's like if you're watching a movie and you're panning through the different, scenes in the movie, and it comes to a tree, and you see the tree. You don't know much about the tree yet until you get edified as to what the tree symbolizes and represents. And then the saga of the movie and the ongoings happen with rearing from the tree. You journey away from the tree, and then you find all of the obstacles and things that you fall victim to,
right.
And it's like, we need to get back to the tree. Now your journey is to get back to the tree. We need to get back to the tree. And then you get to the end of the movie, and then it's like, hey, we made it back to the tree. Like you was there, you left, went away on some, it got dark and everything else. Yeah, you got lost trying to find your way. Now you met up with some others. They're like, yeah, I'm with you. We need to get back to the tree. I picked up remnants of how we should get there. And then it's like, we get to the end of the tree. We get to the end and there's the tree. And all that is symbolized. But not only is it that you get to see the tree, because the tree represented, or what we learned from the tree in the beginning, and what we have now come to understand in the end is much more. So that's why, as we read on, and I think in this chapter, you'll start to see that, the things that we had, it wasn't as important as to the things that we already had within us, like that we had around. Things that we looked to for the source really wasn't it. Like, it was much more, right? So we had to learn that on the journey, right? The journey taught us a little bit more than what we expected before we got back to the tree. It's started to picture it in my mind, like, oh, it's like a movie. It's like, oh, this tree, get this tree. All it happens in the middle, but the ending is like so much more than what we envisioned.
Because like you said, you know, in the beginning you have it, you don't really appreciate it, but then like you said, at the very end you realize, wow, we were good from the beginning. Now we see how valuable the thing was that we lost. You know, there's a thing out there, you could look it up. It's called the hero's journey, but it's kind of like a basic structure for many stories that are written. And you see like this little diagram. You can think of so many different movies and books and sagas that pretty much take the same idea and just reproduce it with different characters, different time periods, you know, in the past, present day, future, you know. But it's almost like you're watching the same story over and over again, you know. And it's a lot of it's based on what we see here in the scriptures. Only this is more complete. It takes a piece of what we see in the scriptures. The hero being, you know, Yahushua, Israel, you know, how you ever want to look at that. But it's funny too, because I think there's one, was it Max von Sydow, one of the older so-called Caesar Borgia movies. It's called The Greatest Story Ever Told, right? But the funny thing is that focuses on Christ, right? Which his story is definitely paramount, but we know his story is really just a part of this bigger story, which is with the Most High's people and his son, and how that relates. So the greatest story ever told really is not just the story of Christ, the gospel, but it's the whole Bible itself. You know, I think that a lot of people in the world, they miss that. They don't really grasp the depth of the gospel in context with the entire Bible. But we that have been shown the truth, all thanks to the mercy of the Most High, we can see that full picture of why the Gospels are that important, and not just to look at the Gospels by themselves. Context of the Gospel in conjunction with the rest of the Scripture and all the things that Christ did to fulfill those Scriptures. Kanyal Kana? Okay. So this is the story, right? You have his story, you have her story, you have their story, then you have the story, right? What is? So that's what's most important. That's where the scriptures come in. To know what is actually happening, how it's happening, and why it's happening. When you have that, you're no longer lost. So in verse 2, Revelations 22 and verse 2, it says, and in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, check this out, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. You see that? So once again, we see the importance of the tree, but not only the tree itself and the leaves, but even the fruits are mentioned, how they have fruits every month. So now we know it's all throughout the scriptures, but it's put out in the forefront the importance of the fruits of the Spirit, right? Which go into what? The character builders, the attitudes, the behaviors that we should exhibit when keeping the commandments the correct way, or keeping it the righteous way. So with chapter 22 in verse 2, we can read, I like to read these two scriptures that show us what the fruits of the Spirit are as pertains to the tree of life. And then I'll also read a scripture in Ezekiel that shows us where even Ezekiel had a vision of the tree of life as well. What you going upstairs? So before we go to Ezekiel, let's read these two verses. First, where Paul touches on the fruit of the Spirit, and then where Peter touches on the fruit of the Spirit. So this is Galatians chapter 5. What? Galatians chapter 5. Right, it goes Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. Galatians comes right after Corinthians, 2 Corinthians. We're going to go to Galatians chapter 5. We'll read verses 22 and 23. So these are the fruits that grow in that tree of life. Mm-hmm. And Kahan Samak, if you could read that, Baba Kushan. So, Galatians chapter 5, verses 22, and also verse 23. This for folks that's joining, this is linked with Revelations 22 and verse 2, where John is having a vision of the tree of life. And he's also seeing on this tree of life that what it bore 12 manner of fruit, each one in her month, right?
So go.
Right, which these things, when we eat of the tree of life, when we deal with the commandments of God, when we eat of the tree, partake of its leaves, right? Which we know leaves, even on a carnal level, have healing properties. The leaves on the tree of life have healing properties, but in a spiritual sense, right? Which is what the commandments serve. The commandments serve a purpose as a healing agent. Same as you might use herbs to heal yourself of certain ailments and ailments, right? So the tree of life represents this for us in a spiritual sense, because we know there's no hope for physical healing if there's no spiritual healing first. You have a lot of folks out here in the world that have all types of knowledge, right, of herbs and things like that. But as far as their spiritual body, it's all out of whack. It's all ill and destroyed and lame, right, on crutches even. Now, you can't see it with your physical eye as far as a spiritual body, but when you have a spiritual eye, you can see someone being sick based on their behavior, based on the things that they do, they practice. You see them dealing with idolatry, right? Or dealing with other types of transgression. You can say, oh, wow, this person needs some spiritual help. They need some spiritual healing. Because we can only truly be whole through the Holy Spirit through following the commandments. So Galatians 5, 22 and 23.
Galatians 5 and 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. Verse 23, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no.
Right, so each of these fruits of the Spirit, even class is, right, to fully examine the importance, right? But when you take all these in conjunction, some of them you might be doing already, which is good, in the Spirit of Christ, allow one to lead you into another. If you've got love down or charity, let that charity bring you joy, right, or contentment. And then through that contentment, let that give you strength to what? Have peace or order. Let that peace and order bring you long-suffering or patience, etc., and so forth. So these are all Christ characteristics. We look at Christ's example, right? And our forefathers and foremothers that came before us, they embodied these different fruits of the Spirit, right? Some of them, certain ones more than others. Like we know David, he was known for his faith, right? Moses was known for his meekness, right? His humility, right? But it doesn't have to say those are the only ones that they had. But the idea is when we look at Christ, above all of our leaders, he embodied those fruits of the Spirit perfectly, right? He showed forth faith and perfection. He showed forth patience and perfection, temperance, meekness and perfection, right? So this is where we look up to Christ when we talk about it. We look at his example. These are the what do you call it? The principles of the character values that he has, which when keeping the commandments the right way will lead you to have more faith, will lead you to have more patience. That's why the tree of life, while the leaves represent the commandments on the tree and the branches, the fruits that come from that tree, which is what we plant a tree for, right? Because before we first start a tree growing, it starts off with its leaves and branches, right? But then in a certain season, that's when the fruits come in. Now it's like the tree is perfected now. It's come to its fullness. So as we spiritually progress throughout the ages, we start off with the commandments, right? Through Moses. But then Christ brought us the understanding of the fruit of the Spirit now. So that's the tree coming to its full maturity. That's where we as Israel, when we see that example, we can say, oh, okay. So here are the commandments. Yes, these things were a schoolmaster, But now they lead us to Christ, which shows us that perfection and how we keep the commandments. So that's the progression. That's how it's supposed to work. And that's where we're at now. The idea is to understand it and to begin to apply it if we haven't already, and continue to do so. So we can build up our Christ character and put down our old man, our old woman, our fleshly ways. That's what's key. Everybody understands that relationship. Tree of life, the fruit of the spirit. The tree that grows fruit. So this is what the Most High does. It's what the Most High does to teach us things, right? He'll give us something we deal with every day, right? As far as, planting trees, seeing trees. He'll teach us deeper spiritual lessons behind these things. That's the purpose that parables serve, right? To use something that's commonplace that we always see and say, all right, look at this relationship, but now look at how this pertains to your spirituality. Look how this pertains to your salvation. What is that when it comes to the spirit? So it's a very effective way to convey wisdom and knowledge. If one has eyes to see it, ears to hear it, and a heart to understand it. So now Peter mentions the fruit of the spirit as well. When you take them all together, you can go to 2 Peter chapter 1. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 5. We'll read down to 9. Yes. So 2 Peter chapter 1, start from verse 5. Akabar, you can read that, Baba Prashant.
Everybody should come when we got to. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 5. And spare not the old world.
No, it's 1 Peter, I think.
No, it's
2 Peter, chapter 1, verse 5.
You want me to do 1 Peter?
No, 2 Peter.
What chapter?
Chapter
First
1.
chapter. And what verse?
5.
That's what I was reading.
That's not it.
Verse 5? Oh, look, I'm in 2. Oh, my bad.
Come.
I just woke up.
You ain't got your wits about you.
Okay. 2 Peter. That's good. Yeah, we have one. This is one. I'm still. Okay, 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 5. And besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge.
So it says, and besides this, so Peter, moved by the Spirit of Christ as Paul was, giving all diligence, right, which is one of the fruits of the Spirit, add to your faith virtue, right? These are both fruits of the Spirit, faith and virtue. This is and to virtue, knowledge. Or you'll see it says it as called experience, another fruit of the Spirit, right? Read on.
And to knowledge, temperance.
And to knowledge, temperance, right? We see Paul mention that in Galatians, read on.
And to temperance, patience.
Right, he mentioned that too. He said long suffering, but they go hand in hand, read on.
And to patience, godliness.
Godliness, which was there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Verse 7. And to godliness, brotherly kindness.
And to godliness, brotherly kindness, right? It's funny, you go into the Greek. The word you see there is Philadelphia.
And to brotherly kindness, charity.
Right, charity and love, they're the same, right? So it says, and to brotherly kindness, charity, right? But check out verse 8.
For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful and the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ.
So if you have these things in you and they abound, right? They may make you that ye shall be neither barren nor unfruitful. See that? Fruit of the Spirit. So this is the tree of life. This is what we want to be. We all want to be representative of that tree of life. We want to embody those commandments. We want to embody these values, these character values. We want to embody this faith, this virtue, this knowledge, this temperance. So we can be a fully grown tree. Remember, even the parable of the sower and the seed mentions this. We want to be that seed that falls on the good ground and bears forth much fruit. It says some of us will bear 100-fold, some of us 60-fold, some 30-fold. It's the same thing. We build ourselves up, and then we build up other brothers and sisters so that they can grow their fruit to the Spirit, so that they can be a tree of life also, right? So that's the whole point. It's about growth, but righteous growth.
Right. The starting point of it all is the knowledge in Yahushua Jesus Christ. Right. Once you have the knowledge, then those attributes, wherever they are, when you start off in the knowledge, then it says if they're abound, meaning they increase. Right. It doesn't stay stagnant or decrease or go away. You have the knowledge. Someone teaches about, you have Christ, and he came for Israel, and that you're for an Israelite, and that the Most High doesn't love about you. You start learning these things, but it's sustaining yourself. How do you sustain yourself in it? Right? It's by having these attributes, these characteristics, this fruit that now you are able to endure. You have temperance. You can have patience with dealing with certain things. Before you didn't have patience. It was like, man, I don't understand it. Well, why did I lose my job? Well, I thought I was going to be able to, have it all much better now that I came in the truth. And all of a sudden, it's like, nah, this is not me. I can go out there and find something better, right? You start to increase over time in these characteristics, and then once you do that, it says that you will never be barren nor unfruitful, right? You'll always have things working for the better in this truth if you have those qualities within this truth. And it's key because you have other people who may not be in the truth, who may be in a Catholic church or a Baptist church or something different, and they may have qualities like that there. Well, it doesn't apply to that in these verses. It's different because it's not in the true knowledge of Yahushua. That's in something different. So it has to have that foundation and then have those things. And once you have those things with this foundation, you'll be great. You're going to always sustain yourself in this truth. Then you can endure. Right? And then if you don't, the next verse is saying what it's going to bring out.
Come. 3 verse 9 now, brother.
Verse 9.
I could borrow you.
But he that lacketh these things is blind, and cannot see afar off, and has forgotten that he was purged from his old sins.
Right, you see that? So he that lacketh these things, these fruits of the Spirit, he said he's blind, he can't see. And he can't see afar off as far as vision for the future. And he was purged from his old sins. So more emphasis on us not taking this chance we have for granted. That if Christ hasn't come back, no matter what we've done up to this point, there's still a chance of salvation. There's still a chance of planting your seed in good ground and continuing to cultivate it and to grow. Even if you come into the truth and left, even though it'll be difficult, if Christ hasn't come back, you can still come back in. Try to plant your seed again and grow your tree. Grow your fruits. It's not too late. And let's go to Ezekiel, where we see Ezekiel had a similar vision.
We're going to Ezekiel, you said?
Yes, that was 2 Peter chapter 1. We read 5 to 9.
What's the chapter again, brother?
Oh, 2 Peter chapter 1.
No, I'm talking about Ezekiel.
Oh.
Oh.
So Ezekiel 47 and 12. And Akzakar, you can read that. Ezekiel 47 and 12.
What is that for 12? Sir?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Sorry. Right before that. Okay. 47:12. It says, and by the rivers upon the banks thereof on this side and on that side shall grow all trees for meat, whose leaves shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his mouth. That what are they insured? Issue out of the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof for medicine.
You see that?
Would that be herbs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, it's the same vision that John had, right? Of the tree of life, and it's using something physical to show us something's going to happen to us spiritually, so we can understand, right? Because you know about herbs, you know about why we plant a tree, or orchard, to eat the fruit, right? But now looking at it on a spiritual level, spiritual healing, spiritual nourishment, right? What did Christ said, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. So that's how we nourish ourselves, right? And then we'll get one more, Isaiah chapter 3, verse 9 down to 11. And Akbathak, you can read that, Baba Kashad.
Isaiah what?
Isaiah chapter 3, we'll start from 9, but I want to read verses 10 and also verse 11.
Would you repeat that verse?
Sure. Isaiah chapter 3, verses 9 to 11.
That's the tree of life.
Isaiah chapter 3, verse 9, it says, the shoe of the continent does witness against them, and they declare their sin as solemnly hide.
That's Sada.
Move unto the soul, for they have reward even unto themselves.
Great. So going into how our people are taking on wickedness, even in parallel to what Sodom did, right? You know about Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Right. How they did evil continually before the Lord. You read back in Genesis, right? So they hide it not, woe unto their soul or destruction, evil unto themselves, right? You do evil, you shall receive for the evil that you've done, right? You reap what you sow. You live by the sword, you die by it. But check out verse 10.
10 says, verse 10 says, say ye to the righteous, that it shall be well with them, for they shall eat the fruit of their doing.
Say to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat of the fruit of their doings. Right? So it's just that same metaphor, right? People talk about the fruits of your labor, right? It's all connected, right? Same as a tree that grows up. When we go out here and grow up in the world and do certain things in the world, we partake of the fruits of our labor. If it's righteous, we shall eat of that. But, verse 11.
Verse 11 says, woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him.
So woe or destruction to the wicked, it shall be ill with him. The reward of his hand shall be given him. Right? So if we're out here doing theft, rape, murder, right? Deception, right? That's going to come back upon you. As we see with our people, that's why we're in a lower state, because we want to do what the other nations did. And now the other nations have raised up and come into power based on these things. But it's short-lived. But the Most High wants to see how many of us believe that and choose willingly to follow him still, as opposed to try to enjoy riches for a moment in this setup by going out of the scriptures and trying to be like the other nations in order to get ahead. Come, so let's go back to Revelation. Let's continue on.
Do anyone make up with 3? Or just 2?
We didn't read 3 yet. About to read tonight. So yeah, Galatians 5:22 and 23. Chapter 1, verses 5 to 9. Ezekiel 47 and 12. And Isaiah 3, verses 9 to 11. They all link with 2.
That first one was Galatians 5 and 23.
22 and 23.
What's the link?
Verse 2, Revelation 22 and 2.
You know, verse 2?
We're on verse 3 now.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So Revelation 22 and 3, it says, and there shall be no more curse, right? Because the curse came through what? Transgression of the law, right? You can just write down Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. To link with verse 3. Deuteronomy 28 in verse 15. Where the Most High tells us what? We don't obey the law, statutes, and commandments. We go against it, don't keep it. For all these curses come upon us and overtake us. Right? Which a curse we define as what? It's not what we usually call profanity. Like saying SH or B or FU, right? But we hear curse, we think, oh, that's a curse word. But that's profanity. You see curse here is going into what? You wishing ill will upon somebody. A curse would be, you know, I wish today, you know, you get hit by a car or something. You know, I wish you die of a rare disease that they can't cure. Right? These are ill things to wish upon somebody. This is what a curse is. Read the scriptures.
Profanity is just a bad word. Huh?
Right, and that's just, you know, contextual based on the time that we're in now.
Do we really consider that bad words, the words that we use now?
In the English language, it is. And using wisdom, that we become all things to all men, like Paul said. In order to reach our people, it's best to be professional, right? There's no need to throw all those types of words out there just to teach the people, right? It's not needful. And just think, if Christ were there, you think Christ would do something like that? knowing the people, the mind state, and how they thought, you wouldn't have to.
No.
You still rebuke them, of course, but there's no need to use use quote unquote profane words.
Could we be using words?
What's that?
Could we be using English? Esau curse words that would be used when you curse. Well, it ain't a curse, but the fan.
Right. So you can read that Kanyao Kanan, Deuteronomy 28 and 15 should be familiar to us all. That's the beautiful thing though about Revelation, because it brings all the milk that you've been studying together in one complete package. As you read these visions, as you go through the visions, if you studied your milk, you'll read the vision and go, oh, I know what this is talking about. I know why it's pure and clean. I know why it says fruit. I know why it says this here. I know why he's red. It all makes sense. Deuteronomy 28 and 15.
Deuteronomy 28, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Come, see that? So that's what's happening now as a people. If you could also read this as well. This is in Hebrews chapter 8, part of the new covenant, which we're under the New Testament, which is the blood of Christ, but we're not under the new covenant yet. Hebrews chapter 8. We won't be under the new covenant until Christ makes his second coming. Now, we're not going to read the whole section, but I just want to have us read verse 10 down to 12.
What?
10 to 12. You can read that too, Kanya or Kana.
Hebrews chapter 8, verse 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. Verse 12, for I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more.
Right. So this is what the Most High is going to do for us when Christ makes his second coming in our minds and put him in our hearts, right? So we'll know it. Through rehearsal, practicing it. But in that day, we'll be keeping it perfectly, and then we'll learn the depths of the Most High's perfection in his law. The deep wisdom that comes from it, because everything is plainly written, you have to break it down and show how it combines to give rise to new knowledge, new understanding. So if the law is written in our mind and put into our hearts, of course there won't be any more curse. Because like we read Deuteronomy 28, we won't be breaking the commandments anymore. There shall be no more curse. And
Say that again.
it said, when it says there shall be no more curse, it's because the Most High is going to write the law on our inward parts. Like we read in Deuteronomy, it says that what? If we broke the commandments, that all these curses should come upon us and overtake us, right? But if the law is written on our inward parts, there won't be any more curse because we're keeping the commandments.
Because there won't be any more sin.
Exactly.
But we won't sin, so there won't be no curse.
Exactly. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah.
Con, so let's continue on. Back in Revelation 22.
4.
Mm-hmm. And it says, verse 4, and they shall see his face, right? Because before there was a separation, right?
Right.
We're still in that separation now. Remember what the Heavenly Father told Moses, right? You can't look upon me, right, and live.
Right.
And then even in Corinthians, it tells you what? There's going to be a separation. Let's get that first in Exodus.
What is it?
I'm going to get that in Exodus first. So you can write down Exodus 33. Link this with 22 and 4.
What is it? Now, yeah.
Exodus chapter 33 and verse 20. And Brother Daniel, if you could read that, Baba Kushan, please. Once everybody has it. Exodus 33 and 20.
All right.
Just read that, brother. Brother, you got it, right? Brother Daniel, you got it?
33 and what?
20.
Verse
20. We'll read down to 23.
verse 20.
Mm-hmm.
And chapter 20, verse chapter 33.
And he said, thou canst not see my face, for if canst not shall see my face, there shall no man see me and live.
Great. So the Most High talking to Moses saying, thou canst not see my face, but there shall no man see me and live. Because his glory is just that much, right? For us to behold it, we can. But we don't.
And it shall come to pass while my glory
You skipped
passeth
21.
by,
21, brother.
21. And the Lord said, Behold, there is a place by me, place by me, and thou shalt stand upon the rock.
Keep going.
And shall come to pass while my glory passes by that I will put thee in a cliff of the rock, and shall cover thee while I pass by. 3. And I will take away thine hand, and shall see my back part, but my face thou shalt not see.
There you go.
So I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen. Right? So this was a sign for things to come as far as the Most High coming down in his glory before Moses, saying that what? You won't be able to take on my face. You'll see other parts of me, but when it comes to my face. Because you remember Moses was even given this on a lower level, but still high level to us, where after being given wisdom and knowledge, right? It says that what, when he came off the mount, and his face shone, because all the wisdom and knowledge given unto him was like his face was shining, right? So he had to get a veil and put it over his face because it was like you were staring at the sun. So think of it like on a carnal level, you look at the sun, you can't look at it too long, you get like a glare, right? And your eyes get messed up. So think of that light, but on a spiritual sense, as far as the wisdom and knowledge the Most High has, it's just that much. You know, to where even he charges his angels with folly, because they're on a high level, but they're still not on the level of the Most High. Only person that can even get close is Christ himself, and even Christ can't get on the Most High's level as far as wisdom and knowledge, right?
And the sun is one of the most high creation. So imagine, the Most High himself.
Right.
So he's greater than the sun.
That's right.
Than everything.
That's very important you say that, because many folks in past times and in current times have worshipped the creature more than the creator. And the sun has been an object of adoration over many years by our people and the heathen. It's so sad. But let's also get to 1 Corinthians 13. Let's read this as well. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. This is going to tie back also with verse 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. We'll read verse 11 and also verse 12. You can read that too, Brother Daniel.
Okay. When I was a child, I speak as a child. I understood as a child.
Thought?
I thought as a child. But when I become a man, I put away my childish ways.
You have a King James version?
Yeah, you said 13.
Right. No, just the wording wasn't the same. You're in the right verse. I'm just wondering, you have the King James Bible or you have a different version? Okay. Yeah, you said you have put away childish things at the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. So it's the same theme we're reading about with this tree that grows up, that bears leaves and bears fruit. It's going into maturation, mature. Right? Physically we grow up, but spiritually we're supposed to grow up along with it, right? It's even better if you grow up spiritually faster. Because scriptures tell us that wisdom is the gray hairs of men, right? Not how long you've been in the earth, but what you come to know, what you practice in the time that you've been in the earth, whether it's been a long time or a short time. That's how the Most High sees age, right? As opposed to in a carnal level, we may see someone who's older, gray beard, and go, "Oh wow, so old man, he's wise." Should be, but it may not be. You have young people who are wise beyond their years, and people will say, "Oh, they have an old soul." Someone has an old soul. You hear people say that before, like youngsters. Then you got older people, right? Elderly, baby boomers and up, and they run around the streets like children, right? It's just like, you know, acting like that. You know, going to the store and, you know, carrying on. You know, aren't you a grandparent, you know, or a great grandparent at that? So wisdom is the gray hairs unto men. That's what shows forth your age, your maturity, right? It's about the spirit. So that's what he's talking about here when he says, when I become a man, I put away childish things. So to put away the wickedness of the world and take on the righteousness of Christ. That's what makes us grow up or be of full age. We can come off the milk like a baby and eat the meat, right? Or eat solid foods. But read on in verse 12.
For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. Now I know is that put. I'm sorry. Now I know in part, but they shall I know as also I am known.
Right. So we have to read this carefully, right? For now we see through a glass darkly. So what he's talking about here is seeing through a glass, but darkly, like a mirror or like an image. You're looking through like a dark glass. I mean, it's like you can't really see it. It's a translucent. You're like a tint on a window, right? You're trying to look through and see what's on the other side. You can't really see it. It's not clear. That's how we are now with the Most High, right? We can't understand all the things that He knows. We're not there yet. As far as our knowledge, understanding, we have more to learn. We have more growth, right? Like learning from the master, right? We can't just say, "Oh, master, show me your secret technique. Show me your death touch," right? You know, like these kung fu movies we might have watched. And the master is like, "No, I can't show you this. You know, you have to learn discipline first. You got to go through the motions before I show you anything like that." Because you know, with the martial arts, you'll see people want to join martial arts so that they can hurt people. So they want to find the master who knows, you know, how to kill people with his hands. But the master sees that kind of spirit. If he's wise, he'll say, "Oh no, I'm not going to teach you that. You got to go through some motions first before I show you anything like that." Because the whole thing is, what the masters will come to is, even though I have this power, I don't need to use it when it's necessary, right? That's why there's like a squabble or something going on in the community, right? You'll see the student, he'll see his master, right? And his master go over there, and the student is like, "Oh yeah, you know, master whoever, he's gonna go over there and kick some butt," right? But then you'll see the master go over to the scene of the fight and start talking to the people. Hey, calm down. What took place? What's the issue? He'll have them resolve it, right? Without even turning into a fight. And then the student is like, beat them up. He got the skills. And he's like, "But I didn't have to, right? I didn't have to fight them, right? It was just a misunderstanding. I'm not teaching you this stuff so you can go out here and kill people with it, right? You learn it when you have to use it. But if you can save your brother, right, or have them resolve the issue, then why go to war, right? That's where the maturity comes in. We as disciples of Christ, we had to learn the same thing, because remember, disciples said they saw our people who are going off while teaching. They said, "Can we call fire from heaven and come down and burn people up like Elijah?" And he said, "That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to destroy men's lives, but to save them." You know, we got to teach them first, give them a chance to come to the knowledge, right? We can't, even though we have power to call fire from heaven, right? Do different things, which we have that same power right now once we come into the truth. But the whole thing is not to go out there and just say, "Yeah, I'm going to burn up my brothers and sisters." No, you want to go out there and edify, give them the warning, right? Let it sink in, right? We know most won't, but some will. Chance on them, just like Christ took a chance on us. He can just destroy us when we did wicked. So why would you want the same for your brother?
Yes, that's why you got brothers now condemning people to death. You
exactly.
Back then, that was ready to do too.
Yep. Setting up real curses. You're talking about the Most High, please destroy this person. Have this person go through some misfortune, right? And it's crazy. You know? Like I said, not that we don't have this power, but it's all about wielding that power properly in its proper dose. Because we're all guilty of sin. So just put yourself in your brother's shoes. If anything, you want that brother or sister to hear the warning first. right? And that's what teaches us patience too, because as we deal patiently with others, we then we look upon ourselves and go, wow, I was so ready to condemn this brother, this sister, but what they said or what they did reminded me of myself, or either before or even something I might be dealing with now. And Most High didn't destroy me. I'm still going through this, right? I still got this sin. So let me deal with my brother the same way. Let me deal mercifully with him. So Most High teaches us, even through his own relationship with us, on how to deal with our brothers and our sisters. Because for now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part. Right now we don't know everything. We know a lot, but we still don't know everything as of yet. Certain things are still like looking through a dark glass. But then shall I know, even also as I am known. So in that time in the kingdom, we'll then know. That clarity will be brought forth. That confusion will be made clear. That's what it means when it says, they shall see his face, right? Because we'll truly live in the kingdom, and then we'll learn the depths of Yahweh in the kingdom. We'll learn more about the Most High's wisdom. But right now, we still have to practice. We're just not there yet.
We won't be able to see his face now. Until then.
Right. And even with that, there'll still be, like I said, more to learn. So Revelations 22 in verse 5. When it says, they shall see his face and his name shall be written in their forehead. That's what it's going into. It's just talking about that. No more of that dark glass. In part, prophesying in part. See it, 1 Corinthians 13, 11 and 12, Exodus 33, 20 to 23. Both of those link with Revelations 22 and 4. So now verse 5, Revelations 22 and 5, and there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun. For the Lord God, or Yahweh power, giveth them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. When we read this last time in Revelations 21 and 23, it's not literally saying that, oh, in the kingdom there's not going to be any more sunrise, sunset, because the scriptures tell you that from one new moon to another, from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come and worship. So we're still going to have the high holy days. We're still going to have the sun going up and going down like we do now in the kingdom. What this is going into is more so speaking on a spiritual light. It's just using something, a physical light that we're familiar with, to convey that meaning. That's what it means when it says, there shall be no night there, and they shall need no candle. Spiritual light shine through us and outward, right? What's that?
We have a spiritual life in us. We're gonna need that.
No, that light's it's gonna serve its purpose, just like it does now.
So you're saying the sun and the moon, all this stuff will still be there?
Yes.
So they're not talking about it.
Right.
So what are they talking about?
Spiritual light, not physical.
Knowledge?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just another metaphor referring to the same thing, Most High's righteousness. The tree, the river, right? The fruit, it's all just righteousness. All these different metaphors for righteousness. You can link Revelations, we read it before, Revelations 21 and 23, which says the same thing. If you could read that, Akmalat, Revelation 21 and 23, and then you can read your link.
21, 23?
This is still going with 4?
Yes.
Oh, it's going with
I'm
4?
sorry, this is going with 5.
Oh.
Sorry.
Revelations, you said what now?
21 and 23. It's also answer Brother Gabar his question.
And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God did light it, and the Lamb is the light thereof.
So the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of power did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. See that? So just going into how Christ, the Most High, they represent that spiritual light, right? We read other scriptures too, we did before. I guess we can read them again. You can read Proverbs chapter 6. Proverbs 6 and 23. In Psalms 119 and 105. You can read those two, Malak, Abu Kushab. Proverbs 6 and 23 and Psalms 119, 105. All this still linking with Revelation 22 and 5. Mm-hmm.
Proverbs
6 and 23.
The commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light, and reproofs of instruction are the way to the way.
Right. So the commandment is a lamp and the law is light. See that? So we talk about there not being any need for a candle or light of the sun or no night. It's just referring back to the commandments. See, the things written aforetime written for our learning. So when we read these visions, these images, it can all make sense. We can go, oh, okay, that's why it says there's no night there. Talking about the law being taught there. And read the one in Psalms, and then we'll continue. Before we do, we'll get the Kanyal Kanan's comment. Let's read the one in Psalms 19 then.
Psalm 119.
That's it. Oh, you thought I was saying Psalms 1 and 19? Yeah, Psalms 119.
One
105.
105.
105. 105. 105. 105.
Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path.
Right, it's just another verse talking about the commandment being light. Throughout. You can bring out your link.
Yeah, is this the same thing as Matthew 5:14? It said, "Ye are the light of the world."
You're asking me, tell me.
Yeah, is linked to the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, Matthew 5:14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid.
You want to say something else? What was it?
No, since you're talking about light and stuff, like I said, that we as the children of Israel, we are the light of the world, that we should make a like verse 16. It says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven.
That's good.
Was that you there?
Matthew 5:14 and 16.
That's all metaphorical, right?
It's spiritual. Speaking spiritual, right? Spiritual light. 14 and 16. Right? Okay. Linking with verse 5. Just like well, it's kind of carnal. Let's say you know, I see you over there, I see you shining, over there. You know, people see you moving ahead, doing certain things in the community, or it could be for vanity. You know, a lot of times people say, look at there, shining star, right? Everybody sees them. But the thing is, we want to be those stars in righteousness. We want to be those shining stars in righteousness. That's why it says in Daniel, those that keep these commandments and teach others to righteousness, they'll be like the brightness of the firmament. We'll be like the stars forever and ever. But not that Hollywood walk of shame. Everyone prides himself off of like, yeah, see, look, I got my pentagram here, right? And I got my handprints. We're talking about the kingdom, which the angels, they're all looking at that. We just don't get any praise for it in the world. Like you may do something that's on a righteous level just for a brother or sister out here, and you know somebody look at you and be like, "Ew, why are you touching that homeless person? Ew, ew, what's wrong with you?" Whereas the angels are like, "Yeah, he's one of ours. He's one of ours." Add to them more, right? Our spiritual value goes up. We were talking about that, I think, last week at the camp, where think of it as like the stock market. On the carnal level, they got companies, they got the little ticker symbol, right? And they show how many dollars per share, right? And people look at the different stocks and they say, oh, this company's worth this based on this number. This company's worth that based on that number. This commodity is worth this based on this number and how much it's in abundance or scarcity, right? So there's a stock market in the heavenly realm, but for our souls. And the scales are totally different. People, you think that in this world, they say, oh, their net worth is this and that. You look at their spiritual value, their spiritual stock, it's tanked. It's down here. Whereas you got us that are, you know, out here doing the work. In this world, they look at us as, you know, all these guys, these cult members, these weirdos, right? But in the heavenly realm, it's like we got $100 per share, $300 and $500 per share, because they're looking at those same fruits of the spirit. Wow, this brother here, look at his faith. Wow, this sister here, look at her meekness. Wow. This family here, look at their diligence, right? So that's how we're valuable in a spiritual level, and that's what really matters, right? To have your soul, right, which most of them don't, and then with your soul, how many fruits of the spirit do you have working with your soul? What's your level of faith? What's your level of patience? What's your level of experience, right? Walking that example of Christ. That's what makes you really valuable as far as the Most High is concerned. So it's a different scale, because it can be, you know, you could feel some kind of way in this world. You got wisdom, you have knowledge, you even have certain things, knowledge about how things work in the world. You look at other people that aren't in the truth, and you go, I got the same knowledge as this brother, this sister over here, are moving ahead, or they got more than I do. But on a spiritual scale, they could be actually worse off than you, because they haven't gone through what you've gone through. They haven't been proven like you've been proven through different temptations. So while on a physical eye, it may look like they have more spiritually, you have more than them, right? But you have to read this to understand how that works. Otherwise, all you're gonna do is just trust your eyes, and then you may get jealous for the wrong reason, not realizing you actually have favor as opposed to them. They don't. And even folks have come to me where they had those thoughts about family and friends that, you know, maybe it's not to say they were all right jealous, they just were wondering, like, how come I can't get ahead? And then they go through something rough, looking at with an almost envious eye, and then they're coming to you, right? Like, I don't know what to do. It's just, you seem like you're able to, you know, deal with stuff so well, and I need help with this, I need help with that. Person that you were looking at such a high level, now they're coming to you for help and guidance on how to persevere. When they hit a hardship and it just kind of, what do you call it, sideswipes them, They didn't see it coming. Whereas with you, you're already built up for that. You're right. You can handle. You can tell them all the things that they need to do, and they're just like so amazed. They want what you have, right? They're like, how are you able to just, keep moving like that? You did after losing that. And say, well, because of the path that's behind me. I endured much at this point. That's why I'm able to coach and counsel you through what you're going through. So the tides will get turned and it'll surprise you. Whereas from where you stand, you may think you don't have much, but you think that they have, but they actually looking at you, wanting what you have, as far as keeping yourself, keeping grounded, because it's gonna get rough out here. And the folks that you looked at and said, man, look at them moving on up in this tough economy. They're gonna run on hard times. They're not gonna be ready. Make the Most High in Christ there first. So if it hasn't happened already, it will. Just make sure you keep your eye on the prize. And if you're gonna get wealth in this setup, no problem. Just do it the right way and do it with a righteous foundation. And the Most High will bless you. But that's like that's a class in of itself. But it's all connected to what we're talking about here. So let's continue on. It says in verse 6 now. Revelation 22:6, and he said unto me, these sayings are faithful and true. And the Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show unto his servants the things which must shortly be done. Right? I say shortly, but to us it may be like, oh, it's taking forever.
Yeah.
But since Christ came the first time up until now, it's been what? Only been roughly 2 days. Remember, one day with the Lord rather is 1,000 years to us, and 1,000 years to him, right? So when it comes to the Lord, it's not that long. Even though, like I said, for us, it may seem like it's a lot longer. We don't know that level of patience.
No.
Because think of the Most High, having all these years transpire before blessing his children in the end. It still hasn't come yet. Think of all the things that's happened from right now to Adam. Just look at the Most High and his level of patience. Because we'll be down here in our little life. We may have known the truth for 3-4 years. And we're looking at the Lord going, Lord, come on, like, it's time to end this, man. Just bring your kingdom on, right? Take these heathen out and bring Israel back to their glory. And the Most High is like, not yet. More has to happen.
You're right. If you go by the Bible, there's a whole lot gonna happen before you come.
Yeah.
I see a whole lot.
Right. And think about how much is.
I ain't gonna be here. I'll be here.
Oh, you know for sure?
Oh, I'm coming back. I'm gonna make it one of you free heaven.
No, I'm saying you'll know that you'll still be here when he comes back.
Well, it says you live 125 years, right? I'm just 54.
Right, but regardless of how long you live, I'm saying, do you know that you'll be here when he comes back or not?
Oh, I'll be here.
What you know I'm getting at. For folks who don't know, right? The scriptures tell us no man knows the hour or the time.
Right.
So, to escape confusion, because a lot of denominations have fallen into this trap. Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, got these different churches, denominations, certain Baptist denominations. It said he's going to come back, such and such, 1918. He's going to come back, 1974. He's going to come back
1999 that night.
Right. He's going to come back 2012. Right. So you got to be careful with that.
Even us, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And the scriptures never said. So we make sure if anyone asks us, we're very clear. We go to that scripture that says. Now.
Okay.
Let's get it.
There you go. We got yes.
Come. With all our getting, let's get understanding. So, if you want to read that, brother, you can.
Where's that?
One that you can read is Mark 13. In verse 32. And then you just read down to 37, and then we'll continue. You can link it to 22:6. Mark chapter 13, 32 to 37. Link with 22:6 where it says he'll come shortly.
reading that?
Zakar can read it.
Still in 5?
Mark 13.
No, we're done with 5.
Okay.
You were in 6.
Everybody have? Matthew, Mark. Go ahead, Matthew, Mark.
Say, just you can just make sure everyone writes it down, and you can just read it.
Okay, write down Mark 13:32.
Mm-hmm.
It says, but of that day and that hour, no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father.
So that's the key verse, right? He's going to give a short story underneath, but the key verse is that verse 32. So anyone wants to say, oh, I know, God showed me. He didn't even show his Christ. So who are you to say when he's coming? Always take him to this verse here. All denominations that claim they knew, what were they doing? Gabar, and then continue.
All right. They don't know what day that is, but when we say they know the year, because it didn't say they don't know what the year is.
It just refers to the time frame. Day, month, year, because the day is in a certain month, but it's in a certain year. It's just the word meaning like the time. It's just using day as an example. That's all.
Because of all the stuff that's going to happen, they probably know that year that it's going to happen, but not what day. Because all the stuff is, if you follow everything that's going to happen, then once everything happens that it says happen, they probably know this is the year he's coming.
You're looking at it too literal. You're looking at it too literal. It's just saying day and hour. It's going even that specific. Get it? Like not only no man's gonna know the year or the month. They're not gonna know the day or even the hour that he comes. We can look at certain things that have come to pass as part of the prophecy, but to say, yeah, it's gonna end this year, because any day or hour is gonna have to fall within a certain month, a certain year. What he's all saying is that no one's gonna know what time he comes back. So it's not that it's not saying specific day and hour, but we can know what year he comes.
I'm gonna sneak up on you.
Exactly.
So let me get the understanding my way. We don't know the month, day, and nothing.
Exactly.
Because we don't know when it started. Like January the first day the white man made up. So we don't know at all.
Right.
When he comes, big book.
Exactly. Read down at 37. It's gonna make it clear.
Okay, verse 33.
And check this out, Brother Gabar. This is gonna answer your question.
Okay. Take ye heed, and pray for ye.
Watch.
Know not when the time is.
Right. That's watch. Watch and pray.
Take ye heed, watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is.
See, the time is. You see that, Gabar?
Yeah.
When the time is.
So, you know what?
Check out 34 too.
Verse 34. For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants, and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at even, or at midnight, or at the cock of crowing, or in the morning.
Right. So you don't know what time of day you're gonna come back, right?
Least coming suddenly, he find you sleeping.
Lest he come suddenly and find you sleeping.
Least come suddenly, he find you sleeping.
Right.
I'm gonna tell her that thing. Keep sleeping.
See that?
No, I've been having this conversation with a female, and she'll sleep 2, 3 every day. I think God gonna come one day, catch you sleeping. I'm gonna read this to her tonight.
That'd be a funny joke, even though this more so is talking about. That'd be a funny joke, little play on words. But for folks that don't know, it's going into the you being spiritually asleep, dealing with a doctrine.
I know, man.
Because to be spiritually awake means you're dealing with righteousness. So read on in 37.
Verse 37. And what I say to you, I say it to all. Watch.
Right. So that's just something we even say in the world, right? Don't get caught sleeping, right? Always be paying attention. What's coming?
Keep sleeping. 37. I'm gonna put 36 right here. Hey, where you at, man?
So let's continue on. Well, let me tack on one more. Just write it down. So we're talking about this, talking about physically being awake. This says to show that it's talking about something spiritual. You can write this down too. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 in verse 34. You can read that too real quick. Oxycar, 1 Corinthians 15 and 34.
15 and 34, okay.
To understand what this sleep is talking about.
Yes. I'm back on 1534. Current.
You can read it. Just make sure.
Okay. Okay, right there. Okay, it says 15, 1 Corinthians 15, 24.
34?
Third, thank you. Awake to righteousness and sin not. For some have not known, have not the knowledge of God. I speak this to your shame.
Right. So Paul writes, awake to righteousness. See that? This is the awake we're talking about here. Awake to the righteousness of God. Right. Not physically waking up, oh, it's time to go to work, right? Not talking about that. We're out there, now it is high time to awake out of sleep. People are physically walking back and forth on the street, but they're spiritually still in the bed. Speak a little louder so they can hear. We're on a live stream. Try to speak louder so folks can hear you.
Yeah, the question was that I heard one guy who calls himself saying that particular verse that we were reading in terms of hour and date, that was in Jesus' time. It didn't apply to this time, and I let him know that no man know the hour or the day. But he said, from this point of view, he said that was at Jesus' time that he spoke, that he was speaking to those people. He wasn't speaking to people.
That's funny you mention that, because Christ already came the first time. He was already there, right? Saying it. So what would he have had to have been talking about? He would have had to have been talking about his second coming, right? If he was already there, how could he be talking about his own coming? The first time. You just put that question back to the person saying that. To say, so, and you want to ask that same person, don't forget your question, Gabar. You want to ask that same person, so you're saying that he came already? They're saying, yeah, they say yes. He said, so what you're saying is Christ already made a second coming? So if they say yes or no. Because if they say yes, we can go in the scriptures and say, well, things that the Most High prophesied are not going on right now. The children of Israel are not back in the land. We still got our people sinning, right? This, that, and the third, after showing who we are. Second coming. Because you got some that do teach that. Certain Baptist denominations that teach that Christ already came. And the scriptures even talk about that too. I think one of Peter's letters. But that's a doctrine. So you have to ask them, do they think that he came a second time? That's what he has to be talking about, since talking about it first time, because he was there saying it. Makes sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I asked him, I gave him an example of a man put a whole lot of, I don't know if you've seen billboards throughout the city, saying that the end of the world was going to be made on the 12th or 13th of 2012.
That's what Esau was doing here. I wasn't being smart enough. That's Esau.
I'll take you back to Mark 13:32. No man knoweth the day or the hour. They claim to, that's not the spirit of Christ. They got another spirit. We'll get a verse, but let me hear his question first. I'll give you a verse, and we can move on. Gabar? You get a comment, right? Something you want to say?
No, thank you.
So read 1 John chapter 4 and verse 1. Go on.
First John chapter 4, verse 20.
Right, this doesn't link with anything, just for what the brother is asking. For, Brother Daniel.
1 John
Chapter 4. Verse 1.
Therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard it.
No, that's not it.
That's not it.
1 John towards the end, close to the Revelation. I think the other Khan had you read this verse in the class too.
Yeah, chapter 4, verse what?
1. Yeah, I think you guys went over this one.
Is it,
Chapter 4 and verse 1.
believe not,
That's a beloved. Mhm.
believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world.
That makes sense, right?
Yes.
Can't believe everything you hear. But only way you can try them is by using this. But you know, if you don't know this, they can deceive you. They can say, "Oh yeah, the scripture says," and then say some nonsense. And if you're not the wise, you go, "Yeah, the scriptures say that. Yeah, you're right. The world is going to end tomorrow. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see it. That makes sense." Not this spirit though. Yeah. So Mark 13:32. Circle it. Put a shield next to it. Highlight it. Because we're going to see more of that. You're going to have more people coming out and saying, "Yes, God has spoken to me, for in my research, I have come to the final day, the day of judgment." They even make movies about it, right? Pop culture, like the Marvel movies. They got this thing, the Thor Ragnarok. It's supposed to be Norse mythology. That's supposed to be their end times. So we're trying to bring back this whole, end of the world, end of the age. You see that theme come up quite often in pop culture. It just adds more confusion to the mix. So you have the counterfeit mythology about the end of the world versus what the scriptures say how it's going to end, and what that actually means. The earth and everything being blown up, but this nation who's in power, not Esau, being taken out and then back up. That's the true story. We said before, you got their story, you got the story, you got his story, you got her story, the story. We got to follow the story. That should be of most concern to us. The Most High story, which deals with reality, which is actually happening. So let's continue on. But did you have a link? Okay. So let's continue. Verse 7. Verse 7, behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keepeth the sayings of the prophecy of this book. You can link that with Revelations 1 and 3. Blessed is he that readeth and follow the things that are written therein.
Verse 6.
7.
Okay.
Just write down Revelation 1 and 3 to link with 22 and 7.
1 and 3.
And Consumat, you can read that, Baba Prashad.
Revelations 1 and 3. Blessed is he that readeth, And they that hear the words of this prophecy and keep those things which are written therein. And
True saying, right? So we want to not only read, but keep the things that are written therein, so that we don't face destruction. Make sense? I hope so. Otherwise, it's all she wrote. Hope it makes sense to you later, not now. So that's pretty straightforward. And like we read in Mark 13, right? We don't know when the good master is coming back. Like if you guys had family, your folks might left you with some chores at the house, right? When you were younger, they say we're about to go to the store, about to leave. Come back. I want you to take out that garbage, sweep the floor, right? Mop, do this, do that. When I come back, I expect it to be done. And then you got brothers and sisters. You might have said, "Oh, hey, they're gonna be gone for a couple hours. Let's kick our feet up." And then before you know it, you hear that car pull up. You hear them footsteps coming, right? Right? Or that bus come by, and you know it's like, oh, that's that bus. Oh man, you try to rush to get everything clean, but by that time, it's too late. Your folks come in. This work isn't done. What you been doing all this day? Just where's my belt? Or better yet, I got double work for you now. So think about that, but on a more dangerous, with Christ coming back. You don't be caught sleeping that day. You come in the house and your feet are up, and the work hasn't been done. You definitely don't want that. So he says, "I come quickly." Think about it like it's something you have to get into as far as a mind state. I'm trying to master it. As far as consider that Christ will come back at any moment, even though you still plan for the long term as though he'll never come back in your lifetime, because we don't know. Consider like every day that goes by, like this could be my last day. And my last day that I had, did I do the best I could? I lived the day I just had, did I live it as perfectly and as righteously as possible? Did I go the extra mile with every brother and sister that I encounter to share truth with them, to do what I need to do as far as my studies? With my kids, if I have kids, the right way, say the right things to them. Did I make the most of the day, every day? You know? Like I said, it's something to really get in the mind state of, but it can be difficult because you just feel like, okay, another day, another hour, You don't think like it could be your last. First, Kanya Kanan, and then Akpatha.
Yeah, you don't want this to be taught to you. Luke 19, verse 20.
Okay. What's this input?
Yeah, so we're talking about delays coming.
Oh, right.
You don't want to get in this situation. It says, Luke 19, verse 20. And Lord, behold, here is thy pound, which I have kept laid up in a napkin.
Yes.
For I fear thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou layest not down, and reapest that thou did not sow. You don't want to just be at there, get caught out there in this situation. You didn't do anything. Right.
Besides bless us with, whether it's teaching or posters or music or whatever gifts he uses, he gives to us. Right? Even if you're still trying to find it, definitely put it to use to help further the nation. Right? If you're by yourself, do it by yourself. You find a congregation of like mind, get together with them, help them build their congregation up, wherever your church is at. Right? Reach out to someone that's online, right? Through email or through text or through YouTube and whatnot, to find out how you can take the gifts the Most High has blessed you with and use them to further the nation.
Yeah, Howard Shop will come back. Is he gonna blow? Supposed to be blowing the ramp horn before.
Right, when that horn comes though, it'll be too late. That will be the announcement of here I am. You know how he's blowing the horn right now, brother?
Yeah.
To us.
Right.
We're that horn now.
Okay.
Exactly. lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression.
So when he blow the horn, he can hear.
Exactly.
Or he on his way.
When he say when that horn sounds, like it tells you in Thessalonians, that's when it's gonna be too late.
Yeah, that's Psalm 50.
That's the door opens, parents are home.
Yeah.
How come the work isn't done? Right?
That's when the work ain't done.
Well, depends. If you were doing the work while the folks were away, you'll be all right. You won't be all right. You'll be in a lot of trouble. As a brother said before, a brother told me, he used to always say before, he said, it'll be the big I told you so day. Because those of us, we hope that all of us here are in that number. You know, some of us may go back in the world. We will hope that we're getting caught up into those chariots when he comes back. It tells you that the enemy is going to behold those that are chosen go up. They're going to see them go up. And, you know, it's going to be like, I wish that was me going up. Or let me, I can see him even trying to grab on right as you go up. Take me with you. Sorry.
Oh, you know what?
You laughed at me, you know, before we came. It's too late now. Just like, even though it doesn't say in the scripture, you know, we had that image of when it started raining and Noah was on the ark and the other people that weren't on the ark, you could see them maybe outside the ark banging, right? Let us on, let us on. It's like, you were laughing all this time. You said we were crazy. Too late.
You ever see the Poseidon Adventure? When the people try to jump on the trees and everything, when it was too late.
What's this called?
The Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, Poseidon. Okay. I didn't see it.
Poseidon Adventure. When they was all on the boat was turn over, and the people, and they were trying to bring someone out. And as soon as you know the time comes when they start coming down, everybody try to jump on the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Not the whole darn tree down.
Everything cracking pop.
Yeah. So we want to be ready, and now is the time to get ready. So let's continue on. Verse 8. Revelation 22:8. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down and worshipped before the feet of the angel, which showed me these things. This is a heavy vision that John's being shown, right? Verse 9. Then saith he unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. Worship God. So you say, don't worship me as an angel, as a messenger. Worship the Most High. You can link 9 with 19 and 10. It's the same thing happened there. And the prophets before, you read about them doing the same thing. They're showing a vision.
20.
Revelation 19 and 20. You can see the prophets of old get weak in the flesh because they're showing high-level spiritual things, right? Where the angel would come and revive them or help them up, right? Or give them their strength again after being shown heavy visions like that, right? It's pretty taxing.
Yeah, they know.
You know, not only on the body, but just at that point, and then being shown something like that. You know, it's breathtaking.
That was Luke or that was a Revelation?
Luke.
Revelation 19 and 10.
What was Luke? 19 and 10. 19 and 10.
That's he read that way back. So that was,
Revelation 19 and 10.
and that goes back to verse 7 and 6. Y'all conundrum.
Kind of just wanted to hone in on where the angel in verse 9 says, for I am thy fellow servant. Then he says, and of thy brethren, the prophets, right? So alluding that he comes out of the lineage of the stock of, John himself, right? So I want to link this with Matthew, the 22nd chapter. Matthew's 22. I'm going to read verses 29 and 30. You can write down starting from verse 23, but I'm just going to hone in on 29 and 30. You can read the whole parable or the whole discussion, and I'll just summarize it. Yeah, Matthew's 22. I'm reading verse 29 and 30, but you can start from 23.
Okay.
So when you start from 23, this is we talked about this, I think, a month or two ago, when the Sadducees came to question Yahushua about marriage, right? And the Sadducees don't believe in the resurrection. They don't believe in spirits, angels, anything of the sort, right? These were priests that did not believe in these things. So they questioned Yahushua about, what was the case? What would happen if a woman had so many different husbands and they all were married to her, but then they died? Whose wife would, whose husband would she be, or whose wife would she be in the resurrection when they, died and was resurrected back to the Father? Okay. But Yahushua said in verse 29, Matthew 20-29, Yahushua answered and said unto them, you do err, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of God. Right. For in the resurrection, these men, these individuals who come from Israel, neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. Right? So when our spirits die, especially those of us who are the prophets, and go up to the heaven. Right. But now, as we read here in Revelation, one of these angels says, listen, I'm thy fellow servant and of thy brethren, the prophets. So now some of those prophets that was from the past are up in the heavens and are sent as messengers by the Most High to come and help us down here on earth. Everybody see that? Right? Because Yahushua is saying that these men are just not regular men. They're the angels in the heavens. So now here's an angel saying, listen, I am thy brethren, of thy brethren, the prophet. The prophets only come out of Israel. Prophets can't come out of no other nation. So when you see on TV and they have these little white babies or angels that look like they're from these other nations, that's impossible. Right. It cannot be. The angels only come from, the angels that do the work of the Most High only come from Israel that was on the earth at one point in time. Okay. Right? And that's what the angel was saying, like fellow brother. Remember, Raphael did the same thing. When you read in Tobit, he was of the stock of his brethren, right? Because he was an angel, but at one point, his spirit was down here on earth as an Israelite, right? Yahushua was down here on earth as an Israelite from the tribe of Judah, right? But he is, right now, I don't even want to, head priest, we have all different kind of titles for Yahushua, but he's in heaven, waiting for him to come back along with the rest of them. Right. So just to point out what he says of thy fellow brother, because sometimes you'll put a distinction between angels and us. And there is a certain glory that an angel has and a certain glory that we have on earth. It tells you that in Corinthians. 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, talk about a glory that's celestial and a glory of the terrestrial. Glory in our own powers that the Most High institutes or gives. But that comes with, what state you're in. You're here like how we are right now. The angels are looking at us for certain things that happen, right? For them to give us certain help, right? You say the Most High, hey, send the angels to guard us, to protect us, to send certain spirits or give us certain strength. The Most High send the angel down there to help us. Same thing he did with Yahushua. When he was about to be crucified, he went to go pray. He got weak. What did the Lord do? He sent angels to strengthen him, right? That's that kind of glory. That's what the Most High is showing us, that we're all in tune and harmony, but just in different glories and states. But he is our brethren. He's of our stock.
I have a question, and I see the call. Can you say that all angels were here in a certain family line, or just certain ones?
I can't say all angels.
Okay.
I don't know. The Most High has reserved certain angels to remain in the heavens. But the key point out of this is because he says he's of our brethren, that means that the angels can only, of course, we know can only come from out of Israel that are up there. So Yahushua is telling us that when you marry and you go up to the Father, you're not just a regular person anymore. You're not just like a thing here on earth. You're like the angels that's up there. You're as the angels up there. So if you're an angel or a messenger, then the Most High can use that angel to go down and do certain work or tell, certain help or fight or whatever the Lord commands.
Okay, sure. It makes you think of when was it Judas had the dream about Jeremiah sword? Kind of makes you think of that, where it's like an angelic revelation that's been shown him in his dream, with the sword, but it's actually Jeremiah in the heavens giving him the sword to fight with. And they're tied together because then they both come out of Aaron. So interesting. So,
Well, Elijah took it to heaven, right?
I think so.
Now, let me ask you this here too. Enoch, he was taken to heaven too, right?
Yeah.
Was those two big angels up there?
Yeah, if they're not down here, yeah.
Okay.
Because they could be in this room. You never know.
Well, we have a break. I'm gonna talk to you about that when we have a break.
Sure. Sure thing.
I think yes. No.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very interesting subject. You can just write these verses down to link with what Smack was bringing out.
Excuse me. What did he say? 1 Corinthians?
1 Corinthians 15 and 40 was what I had.
Okay, 15, 40. Thank you, Robert. Now, yeah.
Psalms 104. You can write down Psalms 104 and 4. Just write it down. Psalms 104 and verse 4. And Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 7.
You said Psalm what?
104 and verse 4. Chapter 1 and verse 7.
Chapter 1, verse 7.
Right, which is quoting Psalms 104.
You say Hebrews chapter 1, verse 7?
Right. If you read Hebrews 1 and 7, it's just referring to what Psalms 104 and 4 is saying, which is, who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flame of fire. So when somebody read in Matthew about we're no longer married, given in marriage, but like the angels in heaven, we're a spirit. Our spirit goes back to the Most High. So we're like the angels. Yeah, because the angels themselves are spirits, along with our spirits. And as we just discussed, some of those spirits may come back down as an angel through a family, but then other times they may just come down as an angel, but then just manifest himself as a man. Like the Raphael in the case of Tobit, or like the angels that went to visit Abraham and also visit, they were angels, but they came down as men. And, sat down and they even made food for them, They didn't have to eat it. They just, did it because they saw it was like a sign of courtesy. Brothers go into that, what happened when the angel put the food in their mouths? Since they're not, it's easy for an angel to just take that and to do whatever they want with it, as they eat it. Because they have a different type of body. They can make their bodies look like ours. You just won't know. It'll be like an after effect where you might be dealing with somebody and they ask you a question and you kind of talk to them for a little while, share some things with them, and you walk away and you go, later on you might be like, that person was interesting. I know we have some stories, like brothers have told and sisters have told stories about encounters that they had with certain brothers and sisters where it was just very odd circumstances, how they met them, what they talked about, and they say, could that have been an angel in disguise? Because you don't know. They're like mystery shoppers. Past them, I have no idea. So it's interesting stuff. So we always walk past them when you can't see them. You got angels out front of here right now. Garden of school, you just can't see them. Sometimes they manifest themselves. You can see them. And you won't know unless they reveal it to you, Or you may have an inkling like, could have been, but you just won't know until Christ comes back. Then he'll tell you, what your whole life meant. Which I know. Some of us wish we could find out right now. Yeah, you can just write down, you have to get it, just write down Hebrews 13 and 2 on that. Right. Which tells you to entertain strangers, for some have entertained angels unawares. In other words, just do right by your brother and sister, right? Just tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear per se. Because it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't be a thing of, oh, let me do right by my brother because it might be an angel. No, the whole spirit should be, let me help out my brother any way I can. Actions, give him something that I have, etc. and so forth. In the truth, even in the world, right? The scripture's going to try to deal with one as opposed to the other. So let's read on. Come.
You got brothers out here You know, I mean, you don't know how to trust them because you know you might want to help them out. If you don't know how to trust, you know they might try to rob you and stuff like that. You know,
That's all. I'm
so
back in the day.
you don't know. My brother's out here, especially be out here at night. You know what I mean? You call yourself, brother. You say, brother, have to change. That same brother might jump on and try to rob.
Come. But once again, it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning, right? The fruit of the Spirit. With your charity, which is good, make sure you apply knowledge and experience. Either your own experience or experience other brothers have when it comes to pinpointing what a person's about, right? Like we learn at camp, not only read what they say out loud, but then read their body language. Look at the stuff they're wearing. Right? Look at the situation, the setting. Okay, they need help right now, you know, the dark alley, you know. The scriptures, you gotta weigh the scriptures in the balance. The scriptures say the wise man perceiveth the evil and hideth himself. Right? Sometimes it's like, oh, that's not the kind of help I want to give right now.
That brother's not right.
Exactly.
Right time.
I'm not going to walk while near him.
Right, because you don't know, who might be with them. And I think up north here we have an issue with that in general. Northern cities with trust, it's like down south it's kind of different. In general, where people down south they're like, oh, here you go, hey, how you doing? And it's just like, I don't know this person. Why are they saying hello to me? It's like, it's the South. You gotta get used to it. But they got crooks down there too, so you gotta. That's where experience comes in. Either your own experience or just learning from others as far as telltale signs. And this stuff is easily researchable, or it may just be something that you may have seen growing up. So we at least got one family, and you see the symptoms that they have, right? So you see those same symptoms with somebody, two and two together, and go, "Oh, that's why you need help for your next school," you know. And if you have a question, just ask. But let's continue on.
Well, now you got 13 and 2 don't link up with nothing.
You can link it with 9.
Or you gonna link up with 9?
Like with the angels. So let's read on in verse 10. Revelation 22 and 10, it says, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. Right? So other times you would tell the prophets, close this up. Time. But him, he's saying, no, let this thing come out, so that so folks can see it and be mindful. Right? A nice parallel to this, which is kind of an opposite. You can link 22 and 10 of Revelation. You can link it with Daniel 12 and 4, one of my favorites.
12 and 4.
Daniel 12 and 4. And Akabar, if you could read that, Baba Kushan. Daniel 12 and 4.
All right. Daniel 12 and 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book to the time of the end.
Right. So now this angel is telling Daniel, don't reveal this yet. Seal it up till the time of the end. John's being told, yeah, the thing I showed you, let it be known. So sometimes you might get a different order, right? From certain angels at certain times. And it all comes from the Lord, right? So make sure you take heed to it. But now check out this next part. This is very important for the time we're in now.
Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
Right. So this here is a prophecy going into the end times, right? When it says many shall go to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. And you can see even the churches get this understanding, but it's true. Certain churches have the understanding about this. When it talks about men running to and fro, you read about the angels doing that, right? Already. Satan said it. You read about the angel and Tobit going back and forth between cities, right? Miles. man's going to do it to and fro, but how are men going to do it? Through the industrial age, right? The automobile, the locomotive, right? Airplanes, right? So men are going to go to and fro, like, like a consumer can relate to, right? Where for work, 1 minute he's here in Philadelphia, Newark, right? Wherever airport he's leaving from. And then he's over there in Europe, right? Germany. He might be in Texas, right? Or somewhere else. So we're going to and fro in the earth, right? Then it says, now it shall be increased. That's talking about what we now call the information age. So we had the industrial age, which allowed for us to be transported to different places a lot quicker, right?
So they're talking about man's now.
Right. So it's pretty much talking about the industrial age and then talking about what we call the information age. It says, now it shall be increased.
Okay.
And I can pick up my phone and look up pretty much anything. Trace through the car catalog, right? But now through information technology, we have access to information at our fingertips. Right? We know what we're looking for, we can get it. So you can link that Daniel 12:4 with Revelations 22:10. Okay.
It's like the scripture says that he was to be wiser than Daniel.
Yeah.
Same thing as far as Daniel was a wise prophet, but the wisdom that Esau has is not, talking about that he would have more understanding and breakdowns and things as Daniel. It's just that through his technology, he would be able to, have eyes and ears on a whole bunch of different things at one time. Right? I saw last week that they said they're coming out with headphones where, and it was interesting to me. They have wireless headphones. Google, I think it's Google, wireless headphones that can translate different languages in your ear as you talk, as someone's talking to you. Right? So it's like you're talking to someone in French, and the earphone is hearing it, and it's translating it right there on the spot. So it's almost like what you get in Acts, the second chapter,
right,
where everybody was able to communicate with one another and understand each other, speaking different languages. Well, this device would now give you that opportunity to do the same thing. Right? So now imagine that if you had that, that's a spiritual gift,
yeah,
right? To be able to speak and communicate in different languages, as you read in Corinthians. Right? But now you go out there and you just can go wherever and just like, oh, I got my headphones in. Oh, okay. Yeah, and you speak in them, and you understand them, because you can't speak it back, right, but you can understand and comprehend. Right. It's like being a Nelson line.
But they make a headset on
too. And you like,
oh, you're talking trash.
I get everything they're saying now. Right? So now your knowledge is increasing about comprehension and what people may say and what they're thinking and what they're doing. But the truth aspect is not what they.
That's a good piece of equipment that was invented. I seen it on my phone the other day, and I was listening to the Chinese people talk, and I see that my mom, this shit been something. So, like he just said to me a second ago, when you go to Chinese stores and they talking, even my Puerto Ricans, and I don't know who's Spanish, I don't know no Chinese.
They're talking about you.
They talk about me, but when I'm saying it with this headset on, you listen to it. And I sit right here and respond to them. You call me a nigga. I'm just being, power phrase. That's a good piece of equipment to have. Because they got that from out of the Bible. God said we give them a language they can't understand one another, right?
Mm-hmm.
See in the Bible. So Esau invented that.
And it's funny because the technology he has, because he's had this one, I think it's one software called Babylon Pro. Or it'll be like Talk Babel. You'll see they always use Babel references to like translation software.
Right.
So like that's not a coincidence. And it's gonna put a lot of interpreters out of the job if they perfect it, because it's still kind of shabby.
That's gonna sell. That's a good stuff right there.
Because the UN, they have those things when they have their meetings, they have the earplugs. But what they usually have is somebody that's there that talks into it. As they hear the person talk, they then translate. And certain things, like, it'll be years for them to really perfect it, because certain things that are said, it requires a certain level of understanding context that takes time to develop, even for artificial intelligence.
Steve, I'm not going to show what you just said. That's been out for the longest. when the Congress don't get together and everybody put their headsets on, you got somebody standing right there interpreting to the Chinese, Kenya, Russia, China. So this been out for since Kennedy days. You know, they're gonna have a big meeting and everybody all over the world sitting in the big room, listen to my man talk. Yeah. So that's been out now, they're gonna go in the street.
Right. And that's how it usually works. It's usually
how much that gonna cost?
It's usually dealing with like military or political applications. And trickles down to the economy, you know, the conflict.
Well, there you go.
It's just funny. This is a funny part. Trump, he was in a meeting a couple months back, and they were speaking another language, and it's customary that you have your earpiece in because the person is translating. He didn't have his earpiece in, and he's looking at him like,
y'all agreeing with
yeah, he's agreeing, like shaking his hand out there, and it's like, he doesn't have a clue what he's saying because his earpiece is like on his shoulder. He can't understand what he's saying, but yeah, that's what they do all the time. They'll have that in there, and that's how they can hear and understand what they're saying, so they can do a rebuttal.
I haven't seen. I don't know which rush hour it is, but it's one of the rush hours where I forget the actress. She's in the Crouching Tiger movie. But she was saying something in Chinese to, I think, Rosalind. I think she's like Ephraim. I'm not sure what her tribe is. She was saying something to her with a smile. You see the translation underneath. It's like, I'm going to slit your throat. Yeah. Instead of the third, she's like saying it, but she's saying it so like pleasantly. Yeah. And they're just like, oh, okay, you know.
Understand what she's saying.
I think the Hispanic, she knew like not to trust her.
Yeah.
She was saying it to the people who didn't understand Chinese. They just thought she was saying something real nice. She was saying something real vile to them. That's how she was going to kill him. I see somebody's hand up. Okay. So let's continue. So yeah, 22 and 11. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. He which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. Right? So that should be common sense.
Right.
We're all going to get what we're all going to get based on what we do. Right? Which comes from how we think. So if you're unjust, if you're filthy, meaning what? Your deeds are unclean, right? Then you're going to reap what comes with that. Like we read in Isaiah 3 earlier, right? But if you're righteous, stay in your righteousness, right? And if you're holy, still be holy as Most High and Christ are holy. So it's pretty much just saying that, you know, in this time, it's going to be known who's who, right? The sheep are going to be separated from the goats. The sheep on the right hand, the goats on the left, right? So it'll be known in that day that Israel is chosen, and then within Israel, who are the elect? Because right now, many are called, few are chosen within the nation of Israel. So it'll be known in that day who's the 1/3 of Israel, who's the 2/3, right? And then here in verse 12, and behold, I come quickly, there it is again, and my reward is with me. Christ come with a reward, right? Or a recompense, a payback. To give every man according as his work shall be. See that? So, rendered according to his works. So that's the question we want to ask. Our works right now, do they lead to Christ giving us a blessing or Christ giving us a curse? We want to make sure that the works that we do, once we learn this truth going forward, that they will give us a blessing as opposed to a curse. Now remember, the times of our ignorance, God winked at. So don't beat yourself up over things you didn't know about. But as you learn, try your best to apply what you know in righteousness going forward. Right? You keep doing that the best you can till Christ comes back. So the link with the 12, you can link this with Romans chapter 2. Romans chapter 2. verse 6. You can read that. Zakar.
Romans 2:6.
Zakar.
Romans 2:6.
Let me up to 12.
Yes. Among whom, oh, that's not it. You right, brother.
Yeah, that's 1 and 6.
I know, I was wrong. Who will render to every man according to his deeds?
See that?
1 and 6.
2 and 6.
And then if you can read this too, read Psalm. That comes from the Psalms. Psalms 62. There we go.
That's a good one.
Psalm 62 in verse 12.
62 and 12. Psalm 62:12. Also unto thee, O Lord, belongeth mercy, for thou renderest to every man according to his works.
Right. So pretty straightforward, right? The fruit of the Spirit belongeth unto the Lord. We should exhibit that same mercy to our brethren. For thou renderest every man according to his work. So, like I said, let your righteous works overshadow your wicked works. As you learn the truth going forward in this life, try your best to do everything right.
Right.
As tough as that may be, or as confusing as it may be, because sometimes it may not be clear which way to go. But all in all, you put your best foot forward, just hope the Most High will help you. Kind of, this is a theme you see throughout the scriptures. There's other verses you can go to, but those are key ones you can read to deal with this concept. Let's continue on. So once again, with verse 12, you can link Romans 2 and 6. In Psalm 62 and 12. 12.
Link up, right? 12.
Right.
No 11.
No letter. I mean, well, no.
Come. You got to come.
You can link 1 Corinthians 3.
1 Corinthians 3.
And 13.
13.
To 15. It says, every man's work, again, that's 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 13 and 15. Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If any man's work abide which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. So as Yahweh is saying here, that he's going to give every man according to his work, as his work shall be. Right. So if it's either one's going to, be glorified, and the other one is going to be condemned in that day. 1 Corinthians 3, 13 to 15.
Come. So let's continue on. Revelation 22, 13. I am Alpha and Omega, or in the ancient Hebrew, the A and the Tha, right? Because Alpha and Omega are just the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet. So he's the what? The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. It's funny. I just seen the War of the Planet of the Apes recently, and that was like a symbol that they were using, the humans that had survived the simian flu. They had that logo on their outfits, the army that was still around, and they even branded it in some of the apes. A lot of symbolism there, to what's going on.
Did you see the last one?
That's what I'm talking about.
No, I didn't see the last one.
Yeah, I just saw it recently. I like the series, but I don't know. I was disappointed. Like it just to me, it didn't live up to be the third one. But when I would still say check it out, but I wasn't like very excited as I'm watching. There's throughout the series, there's a lot of Moses references. I'll say that much. Like you'll see a lot of Moses symbolism with Caesar. Khan, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. Right? So, 22 and 14, remember, you can just write down James 1 and 22. And Akbathak, if you could read that real quick. James 1 and 22.
1 and 22?
Yep.
James.
Chapter 1.
James 1 and 22. It says, everybody have that? James 1 and 22 says, but be ye the doer of the word, and not the hearer only. Deceive your own self.
Right. So be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourself. So you deceive yourself if you just hear the word but then not do it. Everybody see that? In the back, that makes sense, right?
Right.
Not hear.
Right. So we have to do the word. That's why Christ is saying, blessed are they that do his commandments. Like we read earlier, Revelations 1 and 3, right? Blessed is he that readeth the things written in his prophecy and keep those things which are written therein, right? It's not just a matter of hearing the message, because a lot of our brothers and sisters, they hear it, they go, oh, yes, that's true, that's true. Then we ask them what? So what are you doing to further the knowledge of the nation? They took the knowledge and they, like Kanyawa Kanan quoted earlier, they wrapped it up in a napkin. They said, I don't want to go out there and teach it because I was afraid. So I took the talent you gave me, the knowledge, I just put it over here. But they say, yeah, I know who I am, but hey, that's their problem. It's like, we're getting nowhere fast by you doing that. 14. You can't just sit on this knowledge. You have to spread the truth, that you might get a greater reward in the kingdom. That's the time we're in right now. Let's not take it for granted. Let's read one in verse 15.
Okay, James 1, 22 and 14, right?
Yep. So verse 15, it says, for without, meaning those who don't come into the gates of the city, referring to the kingdom.
Right.
For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. So we want to make sure that these things here, they're not on our list of behaviors.
Right.
Any of those close to us, we want to make sure we tell them, you don't want to be doing this. You want to be partaking in these things here. With 22 and 15, you can link it. Remember, we read this before about the lake that burned with fire, right?
Right.
You can link this with Revelation chapter 20. I'm sorry, 21 in verse 8. Revelation 21 and verse 8, you can link with 22 and 15. Oh, y'all can.
No. As reference to dog, right? It says Ecclesiasticus 26:25. It says, a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear the Lord.
Come.
Ecclesiasticus 26:25.
26 and 25. Right, so a dog, right, referring to a mongrel, right, or someone of lowly standard, someone of low moral character in this context, right? And we see that when it comes to things that you read in the law, the things that die for themselves, they say you can give it to strangers. You can also give them to dogs too. But we're not supposed to eat anything that dies of itself. It has to die by our hand, right? If we eat it. What's that law? You should not bring the price of a dog into the temple.
26:25.
So call it again. Ecclesiasticus what now? Sorry.
26:25.
Thanks. I guess I could add that on too.
Well, 15. Revelation 15.
Yeah, that's it. Deuteronomy 23 and 18. and 18. Just write it down. Deuteronomy 23 and 18. Don't worry about getting it.
Is that the Ecclesiasticus?
Yeah. Same scripture line.
23 and 18. Okay,
Hmm?
start with 22 or 3?
23.
18. All right. You want to read that?
No.
All right.
So let's continue on. Verse 16, it says, I, Yahushua, that's how you say Jesus in the Hebrew,
Right.
have sent mine eye unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and offspring of David and the bright and morning star. See that? So when it says he's the root and offspring of David, it's kind of funny because we're going to go back to Matthew in the next chapter and you show that, right? That what? You're going to Christ's lineage on his father and his mother's side. He goes back to King David. And that's the promise the Most High made to David, that what? Out of your loins shall sit on the throne, right? And those that come after you, those that come out of your issue, they shall sit upon my throne. And then much later that will be realized through Christ when he came during the time of the Roman Empire, right? About 2,000 or so years ago. So that's the miracle, because we always say, yeah, you guys go into this whole virgin birth business, right? This whole immaculate conception business, which is dealing with idolatry. That's dealing with what the heathen had worshipped for years. The whole thing was what? The miracle was that, yeah, Joseph and Mary had sex, but now that child that came out of their union, the spirit in that child would be the Son of the Most High. Is to say the Most High couldn't have her conceive? Of course, the Most High can do anything he wants. But that's not what happened. That's not what the promise that was made, right? It was made with David that out of his loins shall come forth that king. That was the promise. That's what had to be fulfilled in the time of Christ in the gospel. So it's two different stories. Mm-hmm. So that's what really happened versus what they say. So to link with 16, 22 and 16, you can link Psalms 132. Psalms 132 and verse 11. Mm-hmm. And Kanya, if you could read that, Bob Busher. (132) verse 11.
Psalms in truth unto David. He will not turn from it of the fruit of thy body, will I set upon thy throne.
Come, the Lord hath sworn in truth unto David, he will not turn from it, of the fruit of thy body, right? Referring to your natural children, right? Will I set upon thy throne. See that? And then what happened was, in verse 12, it tells you what? Yes.
If thy children will keep my covenant and my testimony that I shall teach them, their children shall also sit upon thy throne forever more.
Right, so this is the line of kings being established through David, right? Also, if you could, read 2 Samuel chapter 7 in verse 12.
2 Samuel 7 verse 12.
You can read down to 17.
Second Samuel 7 verse 12. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. Verse 14. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of men.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 15. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. And verse 16. And thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever. For thee, thy throne shall be established forever. Verse 17. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David.
Gun. So the promise being given to David as far as his loins, out of his loins shall come forth the king, the Messiah, right? Will sit on his throne. Right, exactly. And we've done classes on this too, as far as the being speak with the rods of men. If you transgress, what that's going into. We won't go into that right now. We'll save that for a class. But yeah, there's a little key place to read about that prophecy as far as showing that Christ would be the root of David. So 2 Samuel 7, 12 to 17, Psalms 132, 11 and 12. To go with Revelations 22 and 16, also Revelation 22 and 16, Revelation chapter 2.
Revelation what?
Chapter 2 and verse 28. We already read this in the past Sabbath services.
Revelation chapter 2 and 28.
Right. Where it tells him that what the Most High will give him the morning star. Which the morning star is referring to Venus. Because it shines bright in the morning. You look at a certain part in the sky. There's another heavenly body being used to reference the light. Right? Christ being that light, like we read earlier. Using physical things to convey spiritual understanding.
So that statement means he gives them Jesus,
The light.
us Jesus,
He's giving Jesus the light.
through his command.
Mm-hmm. He's making reference to Venus because it's, you look in the sky, you can see it's very bright in the morning.
Oh, what's that? 2 and 28. He's giving Jesus what? Wisdom and knowledge.
Yes.
That's what the morning star is.
Right. They even got newspapers called the Morning Star, named after planet Venus. Right. It's just referring to the light. Just go back to your other scriptures pertaining to light. So Revelations 2 and 28, that's why it calls them in verse 16 the bright and morning star. So I am the root and offspring of David, the bright and morning star. 17, and the Spirit and the bride say, come. And him that heareth say, come. Let him that is athirst come. Whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Right? So thirsty for those waters, right? Those same waters of that river of living water, right? Talking about that same thing, that same thirst that we should have to want to drink those rivers of living water, talking about the truth, right? Drinking that down. You can just link this if you want. You can link this with Isaiah 55 and verse 1. Now, I'll read this.
Well, just before that, when it said, I will give him the morning star, that was Jesus giving it to us. That wasn't God giving it to us.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. It's like Romans 8, right? Heirs of God, joint heirs with Christ.
Right.
So everything that Christ gets, we get when we follow Christ.
And what you just said again, buddy?
We get it. We get whatever Christ gets if we follow Christ.
Okay. We get.
We will inherit the same things that Christ inherits. Come, so 22 and 17, Isaiah 55 and 1. Just write it down. I'll read it. Isaiah 55. It says, Isaiah 55 and 1, oh, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters. He that have no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yeah, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Right? So what can we drink that doesn't cost? Same thing that they're talking about in 17, where it says the water of life freely.
Right.
Right? We always say it can't. If I had tickets to a Travis Scott concert, right? Or these other hot artists that are out here, you will be lined up, right? Let me get that ticket, right? Or Migos concert. But I'm giving you something that's free. I mean, that's free tree. What comes from the tree is free. I'm giving you something that's free that's really going to really benefit you. Whereas with them, they want your money and say, okay, thanks for coming to my concert. Now, buzz off, right? But now the Most High, he's saying, what? I'll give you something that's going to feed you for a lifetime, feed you forever, not just entertain you for a moment on some vanity. And because it doesn't cost, people say, oh, it must not be valuable. They walk away. They don't realize this is actually priceless. Verse 2, it says, wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfieth not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear and come unto me. Behold, hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Right? So alluding once again to that salvation that's to come to Christ. Hence the reference to the mercies of David. Right? So yeah, that's Isaiah 55, 1-3. Link it with 17 of Revelations 22. Now back in Revelations 22 and 18, you can link this. I'm going to read it, and we're going to link with verse 18 and 19. Revelation 22 and verse 18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of this prophecy of this book, any man shall add unto these things. Power shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. Verse 19. If any man shall take away from the words of this book, of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. Right? So classic advice from parents to children, father to son, mother to daughter, vice versa. Don't add to what I said. Don't take away from what I said. Do what I said. Right? Most High told us that from the beginning. These other churches that want to take verses out, add verses in, say, oh, you're missing books. They're going to be in a lot of trouble. They don't clean up the act. But that's okay. They shall have their reward. Our hope is that some of them come out and come into the truth. That's how it's going to work. Many are called, even few are chosen. At a link with 18 and 19, we can go to Proverbs chapter 30. Proverbs chapter 30, we'll read verses 5 and 6. To link with 18 and 19. Right. And Brother Daniel, if you could read that, Baba Kushal. Proverbs chapter 30, verse 5 and 6.
You reading that?
Brother Daniel. Brother Daniel Davis. 35 and 6. He's got two prophets in his name, right? Daniel, David. 30, and we can read start from verse 5 and read verse 6.
So chapter 30 and
5. Yeah, chapter 30, verse 5.
every word of God is pure, He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him.
Right. So every word of God is pure, right? There is shield, or there are protection to those that trust in him. It's an invisible shield, but when we keep the commandments, we have that protection from, outside forces, whether it be family, friends, associates, even co-workers, even enemies. We have that protection, right? We're doing the right thing, and they want to say something about us or try to do something to us or try to sabotage us. As long as we trust in the word and apply that wisdom, we can get along just fine. Check out verse 6.
And thou knowest unto his words, lest he reprove thee.
Read it again.
And thou be found a liar.
Read it from the top again. Papa Kushan.
And thou not unto the words, lest reprove thee, and thou be found a liar.
I thought you said and. Right. So he said, add not thou to these words unless you be found a liar, right? Like you tell somebody, hey, tell so-and-so this, that, and the third. They're going to deliver the message, but they put a twist on it. That person they delivered the message to comes back to you and says, why'd you tell me this? That's not what I told him to say. I told him to say this. Okay. Then you got a faulty messenger, right? It's like, I can't even trust you to deliver a message. Right? You forgot stuff. Right. You forgot stuff, or you added stuff. Like we played that game in grade school where the teacher would have the kids sit around. The teacher would give a message to one kid, have the kids tell the message down, and by the time it gets to the 7th or 8th kid,
It's all mixed up.
yep.
She said she gonna meet you. Yeah, I was just saying.
His children can read it in whatever their first language is, even they can understand. That's the power of the Most High. That's his mercy. Khan, and let's read another one, verse 1 and 2. Chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. You can read that too, brother. Thank you.
Now therefore, hearken, O ye Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, to do them, that they may have and go into possess the land which the Lord God, your father, has given you.
Right. So hearken, O Israel. So focus is us. Unto the statutes and the judgments which I teach you, for to do them. Right. So we read it. Be ye doers of the word, not hearers only. Right. That you may live. So this is what makes us alive. It's not just a beating heart, a brain that ticks, but it's about what? Hey, bro, just do star 6 to mute your line unless you have a comment. Are we out again? Okay, guess not.
What was the last verse you said?
Proverbs 30, 5 and 6.
I got that one.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 1 and 2.
Okay, that's 1 and 4, 1 and 2. The water.
And the bar. Which the Lord power of your fathers, or Yahweh power of your fathers, giveth you, right? So like I was saying before, life is more than just a beating heart or brain that ticks. Right? That's physically being alive, right? But to be spiritually alive, you got to be in the commandments. This is the breath of life the Most High breathed into Adam. They teach us in, church theology. That's going into them, giving him respiration. Breath of life. Right now he's breathing. Not talking about that. He's talking about his spiritual body, not his physical body. Right? Because yeah, other people around at that time, they were doing that. Ain't no big deal. But he's talking about the breath of life, the commandments, exactly. And where you know that is later on when he was showing Ezekiel the valley of dry bones. Yeah. What did he tell Ezekiel? Remember? He said, breathe upon these slain that they may live. The valley of dry bones represented us being spiritually dead, following idols. He said, breathe upon these slain that they may live. And he says in the vision, he saw those bones, how they were very dry, how they began to get flesh and sinew, right? And skin began to come on those bones, right? We even got that, was that Negro spiritual we sing? The hip bones connected to the knee bone connected to the thigh bone, right? Thigh bones connected to the hip bone. Now hear the word of the Lord. Hear the word of the Lord, right? That's what's making them alive, the word. That's how those bones walk around. We were bones at one point. Now we're walking around because we have this. We didn't know we were singing. Kind of exactly. That's next. That's all maturation in the spirit. So now read verse 2. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that ye keep the commandments of the Lord God which I command you.
Right. So don't add unto the word which I command you. Remember what we said before, let me tell you again. Because all these different denominations, they want to play around with the word.
And that's what they do. They take away and then they add their own thing to it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they say, oh, but our theologians and our archaeologists have done studies, and we revealed that this verse shouldn't even be there. And it's like, okay. What next?
Well, guess who said that though? There you go.
Because I had a discussion with some Jehovah's Witnesses recently about this. I'm just like, and they said, oh, that's interesting. I want to look into that. But here's a resource that you can read, because they always have to tell you what you don't know.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Here's a resource that you can read that goes into the research that we've done. Okay. It's just like, you don't want to do that. You're just going to arm me, so I can cut that up too. It's going to give me more arsenal. Yeah, so many lies, so little time. Because he have but a short time, the devil. So let's go back to Revelation. Let's finish. Thwada for reading those. Revelation 22 in verse 20.
What verse?
20.
19.
Mm-hmm.
19. I wrote them down.
Proverbs 35:6 and Deuteronomy 4:1 and 2.
Okay, I got it.
You can link those with 18 and 19.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the same idea. Verse 20, it says, he which testified these things saith, surely I come quickly. Even so, come out of Yahushua. Right? So even John is like, come on, right? Second coming, let's get out of here, right? It tells you other scripture, the prophets in their chambers, they cry unto the Lord, saying, how long shall it be until our blood is avenged on the earth? Right? When's that big finale going to happen? And they can't ask Christ, because we read earlier, even Christ doesn't know when he's coming back. Once the Most High gives the word,
Christ can't wait. Christ wants somebody.
You got a vision. You got our children.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of judgment. That double-edged sword that protrudes out of his mouth.
Treat this all first.
He which testifies these things saith, surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so, come, Lord Jesus, Adawan Yahushua. The grace of our Adawan Yahushua Mashiach be with you all. Amen. So be it. So we want the grace of Christ to be upon us, because otherwise we would all be destroyed. So let's not take his grace for granted. Let's try to get ourselves right. Anybody who has ears to hear, eyes to see, and a heart to understand his word. Put the warning out there so that folks can see it. Use our talents, our gifts, to edify the body. Us and keep it going. Because, as we said earlier on, if Christ hasn't come back, there's still a chance for you to be, there's still a chance to repent, even if you have done all types of wicked and foolishness up to this point. All right, so that's it. We come to the end of Revelation 22. We're going to go back to Matthew. Very interesting to go to the man himself, Jesus Christ, and his lineage. But we'll take a brief recess. And the Matthew chapter 1 shouldn't take long. It's more just going through names mostly. But we'll pick back up a little bit after 2:30. And show you those as well. So it's definitely get something to eat, something to stretch your legs, walk around. We'll see everybody around 2:30 or a little bit after. Okay. Looks like this is about 2:05 now.